Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Everywhere they go. I could keep doing that all evening, to be honest. That could be good fun. I'm going to talk about that. Do you know what I'll tell you what I want to say up front, right? Is that there's already kind of a bit of, it was only this terrible Man United under Erik Ten Hag and all that type of thing. We can't have it both ways. The meme will be Dr. Tottenham. We're the team that shows up and classically lets a team like an ailing Manchester United, a Manchester United who are terrible, to get back on their feet, to do something from nothing, basically. And we haven't done that. Do you know what I was saying? I was saying this, right? I was saying this in the pre-match preview, right? patreon.com. I was seeing it on there, right? I was saying on there that, sometimes with football, right? And this is kind of contrary to somebody that kind of warbles on a microphone for extended periods of time. But sometimes in football, you just have to enjoy it, right? Enjoy the moment. Not what does this mean in the context of everything? What does this mean going forwards? What does this mean compared to what's... Do you know what? Right now, we've beaten Manchester United 3-0 at Old Trafford. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Like, this is a ground that, let's be honest, for the most part, has been absolutely miserable for us. Absolutely miserable. What happened this afternoon with them? Getting let's say, Bruno Fernandes, if we're being honest, if we're holding our hands up, if we're being honest, an orange card, right? Bruno Fernandes has had an orange card there. It goes either way, doesn't it? Sometimes it's a red, sometimes it's a yellow. We're not going to complain that it is a red, and I don't think there's going to be a massive FA. I mean, it is Manchester United, but there shouldn't be a massive FA injunction into why that was given as a red. It was a strong yellow, an orange card. It's usually us that gets one of those, right? It's usually us that kind of craps the bed in this type of fixture, and we haven't done. They have. They've got absolutely rattled by our press. What has led to that orange card, red card in reality? What has led to that is them being absolutely rattled by our press, by us being up in their faces from minute one, from not even from minute one, from zero. From the second the whistle has gone, we've been in their faces, not giving them any space, not giving them any time to breathe, giving them no moment to think on the ball. And they have not liked that at all. Tottenham doing that to Manchester United at Old Trafford. Hark! How dare they? And that's the mindset of these lot, right? This is the thing. We can talk about club DNA. We can talk about Tottenham and what our DNA is. What Manchester United's DNA for the majority of the Premier League era has been is entitlement. Is them thinking that there's a certain status quo. Here we go. Oh, no, but there's a certain status quo. There's a way things happen, right? And that's exemplified by the likes of Gary Neville. Gary Neville, who, when we remember early on last season when we beat them 2-0, I think it was 2-0 at White Hart Lane. And he was just like, the way Spurs are playing, him and Keane at half-time, the way Spurs are playing, they're so open. They're giving Manchester United no respect whatsoever. They were saying it as a negative. We were giving Manchester United no respect. And they've got this idea that Tottenham are just supposed to sort of bow down to this, that our place in all of this, in this sort of big tapestry, is to just know our place and to not come and like play a game of football against Manchester United. Spurs have always been, oh, we like Spurs. Oh, yeah, we like Spurs. They play a bit of football. They try and play a bit of football. Oh, they're a bit like us. You know, they share a similar ethos to us, but we don't mind them because, you know, because they're a smaller club than we are. And so we like to do this patronizing thing that when we see Spurs put in a good performance, or if they beat Liverpool on occasion or beat an Arsenal on occasion, oh, Spurs can do that to you. Spurs can pat on the head. Spurs can do that to you. But when we turn up and do that sort of thing to Manchester United, it's all about disrespect. It's all about naivety. It's all about playing openly. And I haven't heard any of the post-match stuff now, but I can only imagine that it will all be, if you look at that panel, which was so skewed against Tottenham, you look at that panel on Sky Sports, I'm sure it will all be, it was a bad day in the office for Manchester United. Spurs won't be able to play that openly against other teams, as we've seen, blah, 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 blah. All that type of thing. How dare they show up and think they can play football? Tottenham belong in the history books. Tottenham belong in the 1960s. That's our place in all of this, in the Premier League. Tottenham are a pre-Premier League team. In the Premier League, yeah, they're all right. They're all right, but they need to know their place and they need to stay there. Not today, boys. Not today. All right. Oh, that was lovely. That was lovely. And this is the thing. Look, I will obviously talk about that. You know, I've even put in the bloody title of this. You know, is that turning a corner and all that type of thing? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Who knows, right? Maybe it's just Manchester United are so terrible, and maybe because they got a red card, Bruno Fernandes went off, one of their key kind of influential players. Maybe that played it. But at the end of the day, we've won 3-0 at Old Trafford. Just soak it in right now. Just soak it. Just enjoy it. Because I think that's to kind of get pub philosophical on all this, right? What we need to learn to embrace more, just as football fans, not as Spurs fans, right? Don't buy all this exceptionalism, like either positive or negative, right? A lot of this, we haven't got the bottle for this. I've seen all that. We haven't got the bottle for a rebuild, or this fan base reacts this way. Our fan base, human beings just do this, right? It's funny because you hear all this stuff, don't you? You hear this fan base does this thing, and it's usually the same kind of complaint from every single fan of every single club. Our fan base does this. Just get over all that. Like, that's just, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. When human beings get annoyed about a situation, or when there's a conflict, or a conflict in a certain situation, human beings will generally react in certain archetypal ways, fight or flight. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not really anything new. And people will say usually all the same stuff. So it's nothing to do with all that type of thing. I've completely lost my chain of thought, really. But ultimately, just enjoy this moment. Enjoy that Tottenham turned up at Manchester United and won 3-0. And won at Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams, iron with a leaky roof. We turned up. We turned them over. Manchester United. Tottenham Hotspur, little old Tottenham Hotspur, little old Spurs showing up at Manchester United and showing them who's boss. It was beautiful, wasn't it? It was beautiful. From minute one, Mickey van der Ven, what's he doing? He's got absolutely no right to be doing that as a centre-back. And there he is, marauding up the football pitch like some sort of horse. Squaring it into the goal. Brennan Johnson, once again, bullying works. No, I'm just joking. The thing is, right, I keep saying this as a throwaway thing, as a kind of being a bit of a bad bastard, right? I've no idea what was said to him. Might have been some actually hideously heinous stuff. And I need to check myself a bit. I can't keep doing this bullying works. It's just me being trite. It's me being silly. All right. I think you know that. But I totally appreciate people maybe have said some utterly, I mean, my point is people have probably been racist to him, and I don't want to condone that. So let's just leave that one. Slap on the hand for me there. All right. But Brennan Johnson, he's in good form, isn't he? Isn't he just? It's just, do you know what, right? Being in my late 30s now, for the majority of my existence on this planet, right? The past few years have been all right against Manchester. If you watch these streams or you listen to this podcast and say you're in your mid-20s, right? I would say you've probably had, I would say, a pretty 50-50 kind of encounter with Manchester United as a Spurs fan, right? I'd say we've probably nearly almost won as many as we've lost, had a few good draws, and been a fairly comparable football team to them. Despite the fact, the thing is, as much as we keep digging them out, won the FA Cup last year, won the Europa League 5 years ago, let's say off the top of my head, won the FA Cup and the League Cup again prior to that, not so long ago. They've still tasted success decade that we would absolutely submit body parts. I totally understand that. It's not been a case of us showing up and being, this is Man United. Because in my day, but genuinely, right, in the sort of mid to late 90s into the early noughties, Manchester United were what Man City are now, a seemingly invincible force who, there was the odd window. There was Arsenal winning the odd thing here and there. And Chelsea latterly came along with the money and sort of started to change the way things looked. But up until that point, Manchester United pretty much owned the Premier League. And we were one of those teams that were just their absolute whipping boy. I'm sure you know about Pedro Mendes. I'm sure you've seen all the replays and everything. But again, being in that moment, being kind of where Spurs were at that time, a firm mid-table team, going up to Old Trafford and winning the game with a goal from the halfway line and that just being chalked off. It was just so, it just exemplified everything about that fixture in terms of they are just invincible. There is no way to, even when you beat them legitimately, there is no way to beat them. I mean, ironically enough, they didn't actually ever have an invincible season. That lot up the road are the ones that did that. But still, Manchester United might as well have been. They won absolutely everything all the time. They were basically like the Celtic of England. They just won and won and won and never stopped winning. And you could never imagine a time where Manchester United would not be just the best team, one of the best teams in Europe, and by far the best team in England. And it's just so, and my sort of reaction to this is delight, this giddy delight that I have right now. If you are 25 and thinking, what's this old gammon going on about? Why is he so happy about this? You have to experience it. And if you are like my age, if you're in your sort of mid to late 30s, early 40s to mid 40s, and even older than that, right? And you're thinking, shut up, mate. You shut up, right? You shut up if you're thinking that, because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from you posturing and acting like you're above a win at Old Trafford, right? You salty old gammon. I'm talking to you who's listening or watching right now, right? I know you. I know your type. You're about, let's say you're 37 years old, right? And you think you're all so great and you think you're all so brilliant because you have some job in East London, all right? And you work for some agency and you wear kind of clothes that are manufactured in Britain. I don't shop at Primark. I don't agree with that. I get all I pay a bit more, but my clothes are manufactured in Britain. Oh, I like the football, yeah? I know exactly who you are. And if you're not that, you're also the other side. You're like, I'll get on with it, mate. I remember back in my day, Tottenham can have anyone. I don't like all this melty snowflake stuff. All that. Two of you. You're either one or the other of those. And you have the temerity to judge me. One of my peers, you're going to say that I can't be happy about about Spurs winning at Manchester United because you want to posture and act like you're about out of it. We've won at Old Trafford 3-0. Save it. Get it in there. Get it in there. That's me slapping my veins for anybody listening. Get it in there. Get it in there. Right? Get in there. Do you know what I mean? It's just a good feeling. It's a good feeling. Tottenham Hotspur. Right, so now I've got on all that blowhard, chest out, we've won at Old Trafford stuff. Have we turned a corner? Who knows? I don't know. Manchester United were utterly abysmal today. Utterly abysmal. But we were brilliant. We were brilliant. So, you know, and we have been really good. We've been really good for the past few weeks, haven't we? You know, I know it's only been Coventry and it's only been Brentford and it's only been Qarabag, but we've been really good. And we're starting to kind of knock the ball about quite nicely, I think. I've got to say, Kulusevski and Maddison, you know, we've had the whole, which one do we play out of Kulusevski or Maddison? Kulusevski and Maddison. That's quite nice, isn't it? That's starting to look quite nice. Quite liking the look of that. Bentancur, I mean, he's, you know, maybe we can put a lid, as Phil and I were talking about on the Thursday pod, you know, respecting Sonny's wishes and everything. He seems to want to put the matter to bed. So, you know, let's just talk about Bentancur on a purely footballing basis. Right. I've made my point about him and his off-field stuff quite a lot. He's looked really good, hasn't he, again? Right. And he was brilliant today. Really, really good. The three of them in the midfield, I was worrying a little bit. I was thinking, maybe we need Basuma, maybe we need Sarr, the legs of Sarr, I don't know. But those three have looked really, really good. And again, I say, I think somebody either said it to me on here on one of the streams, or it was said to me on Twitter. But of Kulusevski, Ginger Dembele, you know, it feels that way a little bit, doesn't it? He's his retention, his physicality in the center of the park, the way he sort of just strokes the ball about, and his finish today as well. That finish was beautiful. Really, really good player. Really lovely player. Timo weren't. Yeah, we'll talk about players. We'll talk about players and everything individually. Let's have a look what everyone else is saying. Let's see what everyone is saying on here. Zeros and ones. United. Yep, good. John Benfield. Hello, mate. Great win, no notes. Maybe then in brackets, maybe a Werner note. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Baz O'Brien, well played. Let's enjoy it. Yep, agree with you, mate. Delpha Chronic says 4 wins on the bounce. Hashtag Ange out. Beat plate. What a result. Coys. Yep. Hacker says feels good. Nice one. Brian Park. Van de Ven is the best centre half in the league. It's tough, isn't it? He's definitely up there, but I think he's maybe he's like the best of a certain type of centre half. Like, for example, Van de Ven alongside, sorry to say, William Saliba. That's pretty tasty, you know? But, I mean, he's brilliant, right? Juan Hodges, Bentancur, quietly excellent today. An oasis of calm in the midfield. Yep. John Lancaster says, well said. I'll take that to my opening rant, my opening gambit on all of this, John. So thank you, mate. Demenstre says, everyone who said the Werner loan was fine because he's a good option needs to apologise. I'll start. I'm sorry, I was wrong. He's not good. Delpha Chronic says, Trunk, buy a new mic. Look, it's a good mic. I'm telling you now, it's a decent mic. I think it's more just the wire, or it's just your shoddy connection, or maybe my shoddy connection. But it's a good wire, mate. It's a good mic, mate. All right, sorry. It's a good mic. You can buy me one if you want. I'll tell you what, Delpha Chronic, you subscribe to my Patreon, and then you can help me buy a new mic. How about that? I'll put it onto you, fella. Jask, Werner is god of. Look, come on. Look, we've just won 3-0. I'm filtering out now all Werner things because we've just won 3-0 at Old Trafford. We don't need it today. All right. We don't need it today. William Hennessy says, I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Sorry, mate. Brandon Tyndall says, you're irrelevant. You will never win anything. Okay. I guess that is a Manchester United fan. Okay. Well, that's all right. William Francois says, Coys with a strong arm emoji. Let's have a look. Nathaniel Hart Anderson Coys. Agreed. Okay, I'm just gonna just put this user in a timeout. I'm sticking this. There's some Manchester United fan just spamming the messages now. Imagine doing that, right? Imagine going on to like a Spurs stream after you've just any other club. Imagine as a Spurs fan going into a stream of the opposition that's just slapped you about at home, wanting to sit there and watch them be all happy and giddy about it. Bizarre. But this is it. This is it with them. This red club mafia, the red club mafia, their mentality with all this stuff is bizarre. It's proper weird, right? They love to just, I don't know. It's a weird punching down mentality. I don't know. They're strange. James Forster says things are clicking. Bentancur absolutely bossed the midfield today. I'm so glad to see Kulusevski has a set role in Ange's team where he's really effective. Michael Tamarid says, I'm hoping Ange's team talk included some version of lads, it's Man United. Stephen King, imagine the media narrative if we'd got beaten. Now all the shade on Ten Hag. Glorious. In Ange, we start to trust. Chris Patterson says, take the dial right off you. What are you talking about? Shut up. Go away. I'm allowed to be happy about it, mate. Pieman says, was anyone else crapping themselves at 2-0? Yeah, but as people say, you're not proper Spurs unless you're terrified when things are going well and all that sort of thing. We get it. But I mean, that's a good win. That's a very good win. I'm sorry. It's a very good win. We just like I said at the top, let's just embrace it. Let's just drink it in, get it in our veins, because these days don't come around all the time, right? They don't come around too often for Tottenham Hotspur. And there's no shame in just being happy about winning football matches. You don't need to act like you're above it. You don't need to posture, and you don't need to look for, but, you know, what, we're still not going to win anything, or but Timo Werner, or nah, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Just do it. I won't hear anything else. Right? Shall I do the players? Let's do the players. So Giuliano Vicario, fantastic. Again, look, I was saying this in the week, right? A few of you have said to me on this podcast, watch it. He's not that good. Just watch out for him. He's our Ramsdale. He's our number one. I want to say, right, whether it's in a positive way or a negative way, can we please? We're a different team to Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. Please, can we just stop comparing ourselves to them? When we have a few bad results and we complain about Ange and people say, well, it didn't click for Arteta until it doesn't. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. And equally, if you have concerns about Vicario, because I'm not going to lie, because you've let Gary Neville get in your head about it, you don't need to say, well, Arsenal had this with Ram. We're not Arsenal. We're not. We're a different football team. We don't follow a timeline. We don't have a sort of a checklist that we're doing in correspondence with them. We've moved to the beat of our own drum, right? Don't need to keep comparing ourselves to them and saying this or that is going to happen, or this happened to them, so that will happen to us. Shut up with that stuff, right? But on Vicario, he's great. Like, he's really good. I don't know what you want. I like, if you really don't like him, if you really don't rate him, I really don't know what you want. Like, do you want us to, if you know anything about Spurs and you know how we act in the transfer window and you know how we spend and all this type of thing, do you want us, honestly, can you say in earnest, do you want us to go out and spend 50, 60, if not more, millions of pounds on a goalkeeper to replace Vicario and kind of ignore other parts of the team where we need to spend that amount of money on like another winger. Everyone's moaning about Timo Werner. We're all acknowledging the fact that Son is getting to the end of his career now. We need to spend some big money. We need to bring in a Nico Williams, and people can fight me to the death on that. We need to bring in somebody like a Nico Williams to play in that forward band at some point, because we need to spend that money there. We need a superstar signing in that part of the pitch. We just do. If we want to win the Premier League, I'm saying that's the type of place where we need to spend money. Do you want to prioritize spending 50, 60, 70 million pounds on a goalkeeper to replace Vicario, who is really good, whose distribution is unbelievable, whose shot stopping is unbelievable, whose handling is unbelievable? That shot, I think it was Xerxes who had one from low down in the box, fully outstretched. He held on to the ball with one hand. He didn't even allow a deflection to come back into the box to put into the path of one of their players to pick up a cheap rebound or anything like that. He's a brilliant, brilliant goalkeeper. He's unbelievable. I still really stand by the fact that you're only really taking Alisson or Edison probably over him in the Premier League. And I'm talking about with next to no discussion on the matter, right? There might be a few other goalkeepers that you take and you weigh up the pros and cons and all this type of thing. But we're talking about out and out, you're only taking Alisson or Edison over him. Really, for me, he's a brilliant, brilliant goalkeeper. Like, you see, look at somebody like Nick Pope, who a lot of people are clamoring for Spurs, who's done a fine job at Newcastle, who is a really, really good goalkeeper, right? That's a goalkeeper that's going to cost you £50 million. Do you look at Nick Pope and think he's miles better than Vicario? Do you look at Nick Pope and say he's better than Vicario? I don't think you do. Do you really? I don't know. I think just like it's a psyop. It's a psyop from Sky Sports. That's what they want. They're just gaslighting you. It's Gary Neville, right? He's got his reputation on the line as a pundit and as a football man and all this bollocks. And he wants you to believe, because he went early and said that Vicario is no good, basically. He wants you to believe that. He wants everyone to believe that. And he wants you as Spurs fans to believe that, because then that puts the pressure on the club and that makes the club replace him. And then that is him proven correct. But Vicario's a fine goalkeeper. He's very, very good. So just, shut up. Pedro Porro today was, I honestly thought he was quietly brilliant. Like one of our probably man of the match contenders. I thought he was phenomenal today, Pedro Porro. And his games like today, when you're suddenly like, he's proper quality, isn't he? Like, he's really, really good. Like, he's got that kind of, we've always known it, I think, of Porro, that he's got that kind of like toxic alpha winner mentality. Like, come on, vámonos, shouting, like fucking beating his chest and all that type of thing, right? You know what he is. You know what Pedro Porro is, but you can forget it sometimes, because sometimes, I don't know, maybe he doesn't fully concentrate, or he's not as switched on as he maybe should be from time to time in matches and all that sort of thing. But when he's good, he's absolutely brilliant. When we saw Pedro Porro playing against us for Sporting, he absolutely wiped the floor with us. He was unbelievable. And I can remember, like, it became a bit of a meme for us to be like, we need to buy this fella. This is literally exactly the fella we need to buy. And it actually happened. It was one of the rare occasions when the player that kind of became that meme on Spurs Twitter for we all want this fella, we actually ended up buying him. And he's sort of become part of the furniture. And I think we've almost, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Because we got him in like Conte era, and he was sort of in that place where he wasn't part of the new wave. He wasn't part of the change. He was kind of signed at the tail end of that. So we almost kind of like, we got him, so it's all right. We've sort of forgotten about him. But he's unbelievable. He's a brilliant player. And I think days like today sort of remind me a little bit. Like, I think he's a truly special talent, a really, really good player. Christian Romero, no complaints from me today. I think there were a couple I say no complaints. A couple of times I think he got caught out of position, I want to say. I don't know if that's harsh to say, but I do feel like he did get caught out of position once or twice. And we were lucky. It didn't kind of, nothing came from it. But, maybe it's just my confirmation bias because I've kind of been, a bit annoyed with him lately and all that sort of thing, right? So for the most part, a solid, strong performance from Christian Romero. Mickey van de Ven, I mean, come on. What a player. Unbelievable. I mean, that's an £100 million defender right there, isn't it? Because he's a very good defender, but as I've said before on here, and maybe I need to find a new word for it because of sort of negative connotations and stuff, ableism and the like. He's freakish, isn't he? He's a freakish footballer. It's sort of the attributes that he has, the physicality on him is so rare, so unique. It's like Erling Haaland. Like Erling Haaland is a very good striker, but his physicality takes him up a notch as well. And you can't train that, but you know what I mean? You just can't. That's genetics. And I mean, you train it, you can hone it through hard work and all that sort of thing, but it's still genetics. And what Mickey van der Ven has is, genetics to the nth degree. And that comes with it a premium if somebody wants to buy him because he's a good defender and he has that, like I say, that sort of that freakish physical ability that cost anybody a lot of money if they do want to buy him. And it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one of the big dogs like a Bayern Munich, someone maybe try and come and get him. But for me, I don't want to sell him for any amount of money, but I'm saying from the club's perspective, they will accept an amount of money. And for me, if they are to, it's close to 100 mil for him, right? He's ridiculous. He's a ridiculous player. Destiny and Doggy, probably the weakest part of our defence today. I thought a good performance, decent, but he's not fully fit, is he? I don't think he's fully fit. He's obviously as evidenced by the fact that he's come off as well for Jed Spence. So, it's just whatever with him. Dejan Kulusevski, still, honestly, my player of the season so far. He's just my player of the season so far for Tottenham. I never miss an opportunity to wax lyrical about the fella, but I cannot understand Spurs fans that would want to flog him to Napoli for 30 mil or whatever. He's young, he's strong, he's technically brilliant. He's one of our few players on this team that is actually blessed with a sort of sense of creativity. The way in which he can carve out opportunities, create opportunities out of almost nothing is pretty wonderful. He's strong. He retains the ball well. Ginger Dembele, but I think he's even got a better range of passing than Dembele ever had. He doesn't stop working, and like somebody said to me earlier on in the stream, he's just he's wonderful. He's a great player. He's a great player. The thing I forgot, I was trying to mask it there. I forgot what somebody said to me earlier on in the stream, or what they said earlier on to me in the stream was that he now seemingly has a fixed position within Ange's system. So that's always been the problem with Kulusevski, right? It's been, does he fit? Where does he fit? He doesn't really have the attributes for this Ange team, but, and as I was rabbiting on about last season, he doesn't quite fit this team, but he's the sort of player I think you have to bend to a bit and make it work. And I think Ange has done that. Ange has obviously realised that. I think he's probably listened to me. In fairness, right? Not to toot my own horn, but I wouldn't be. Ange says he listens to podcasts every now and again. And I reckon probably, I don't think it's beyond the realms of like imagination that Ange just listened to one of my post-match pods and thought, that fella's probably right, actually. I think he's probably bang on. maybe I should try and make it work with Kulusevski in this team because he is really good. Actually, I watched him in training, and I never really knew what to do with him before. But this fella on this podcast said that he's really good. So yeah, So I'm glad to see that Ange just sort of taken that on board and has found a way to make it work with Kulusevski in the team because he's a wonderful player, isn't he? He's a wonderful player. Rodrigo Bentancur, yeah, someone called him an oasis of calm today, and yeah, that seemed fair. Just very good, very solid. I'd had a lot of fears that he was never really gonna come back to his best after his sort of pretty serious injuries he's had. But if the past few games have been anything to go by, I don't know. Maybe we can't. I think the problem is like, can we rely on a player that's had, I think, 2 ACLs, both knees? I want to say, can we rely on that? I don't know. I don't know if we can long term. But as I was saying of this result, maybe we should just enjoy it while it's here. Let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy his performances for now. James Maddison. Maybe he's starting to come back a bit. Maybe he's starting to come back from the brink a little bit, is our Madders, because past few games he's looked really good. And today I thought he definitely fades in games. It's funny, he's almost becoming a bit of a Van der Vaart for us. He's really, really good until about 60 minutes. And then you're starting to look at him and think, maybe it's time to bring Madders off now. But I think playing alongside Kulusevski is really very good for him. I think he's actually relishing that. I think he's enjoying that. We're starting to see a bit more of that spark from him again, a bit more of that kind of instinctive play that you expect from James Maddison. I think James Maddison, when he gets a bit too much time on the ball, when he overthinks it, I don't know, he ends up just either kind of, I don't know. But when he's just quickly recycling possession, when he's just pinging balls about, when he's just thinking, acting sharply, quickly, as kind of quickly as he can, that's the James Maddison you want, and that's the James Maddison that seemingly is just creeping back to the fore a little bit. So long may that one continue. Brennan Johnson, I want to say, is that 4-4 now, or 3-3, 4-4, something like that. Great goal, lovely finish. Quite unlucky as well. He nearly got a second one, hit the inside of the post. Look, if you've been really harsh, you're saying, well, he should have scored that. But I think that would be really harsh. His composure. It's funny, because it is awkward. I kind of joked about it at the top, the whole sort of, the bullying works things. I sort of slapped myself on the wrist from it. But whatever it is, even if it is trying to prove the haters wrong or all this type of thing, he seemingly has just got his nut down, and his composure and just his calmness under pressure now is coming back. And I mean, he had a good season his first season, and I was honest, I didn't really get the pelters that he was getting. I'll be honest, I've sort of this season into this run, I was a little bit like, come on, lad, you're starting to sort of be a bit Sessegnon now. You're starting to kind of doubt yourself, get in your own head a little bit too much. But he seems to have given that head a wobble, and he's doing all right. He's doing all right, isn't he? I think, again, I'd be lying if I weren't to say that he did fade a little bit as the game went on. He did fade, but he made his impact when it mattered. After 2 minutes, scored a goal at Old Trafford. And the thing is, we've literally seen him miss opportunities not dissimilar to that. So it's a sign of progress, isn't it? And he's just, I think everyone's agreed now, aren't we? Like, we're going to cut him some slack. Let's see what you can do. Timo Werner, look, it's Timo Werner, isn't it? I don't want to bust. Lots of people. There's lots of comments all about Timo Werner and how much people don't like him and people don't rate him. So we get it. I've sort of said enough about him, and I don't really want to. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do it today. It's a good time. It's a good game. Let's just enjoy it for what it is. And it also meant that Mikey Moore came on for an extended period away at Old Trafford and looked really, really good. So, Dominic Solanke, another goal today. Wonderful. Lovely stuff, Dominic. I'm glad to see that this narrative is starting to disappear more and more. This narrative that's formed after 2 games that he's struggling to adapt. Oh, he hasn't scored for a few. It's just nonsense, isn't it? That nonsense stuff that, again, Sky and the like want to push. But he's scoring goals for Spurs now consistently. He's creating goals. And do you know what? I've got to say, right? His pressuring in that final third, like the engine on him, so his stamina, his physicality, and his speed are pretty invaluable. These are all the things that were, that people were saying. All the kind of analysis videos. Why have Spurs signed Solanke? Why have we signed this player? Why have we spent so much money on this guy who's not been very good at all and then has had one good season at Bournemouth? And people are saying, look, because Spurs do this whole data-led acquisition stuff now, and they will have seen that Dominic Solanke is running about and being a nuisance in all these areas of the pitch where we don't have somebody doing that since Harry Kane has gone. And, love Richarlison as you may or whatever, I think we can all say he wasn't doing this. He wasn't doing what Dominic Solanke is doing, right? Dominic Solanke is really looking like, right now, a really very good piece of business. Like, surprisingly, I will say, I was for the move. I was happy about it, actually. I was kind of the camp that thought, yeah, I can see this, and I quite like this. I quite like this as a signing for Spurs. But also in the back of my head, I was kind of like, I don't really know if it takes us up a notch. I think he's really good. And I sort of said, I can't remember if I said it on here or behind the paywall, but I remember one of my Arsenal mates said to me, like, what do you think about Dominic Solanke? You spent a lot of money on him. What do you think about that as a signing? And I just straight up said to him, like, what do you make of it? As an Arsenal fan, does that worry you at all? And he just sort of was like, no, it actually doesn't. Like, it's good. Yeah, funny you say that. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make me think it takes you up a level. And that's kind of what I was feeling. But I was like, it's great. Like, if he's a good player for us and he maintains a sort of par, because Richarlison's barely ever fit, we need somebody there that can play and score a few goals. But I don't want to be too kind of like, I don't want to sort of get too overly excited about him right now. But he's very good. And he really is, like I say, fulfilling this like distinct purpose for us in our team that we've needed, that we've lacked. So I'm here for it, to be honest. Like, long may it continue. He's been really, really good. Let's move on to the subs. Rody Dragosin came on quite late, didn't he? Nothing really to report. Lucas Baival, decent enough. Again, I don't really think he got that much of an opportunity. He didn't have that many touches to the ball, but he's a good player, isn't he? So good to see him get some more minutes. Jed Spence, I thought was really good. I thought Jed Spence was really good. Why is he not in that Europa League squad? Why? Why is he not there? Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. I wonder if anybody can tell me. I don't know if anybody can tell me, like, at any point soon in the stream, do we get another window in the Europa League to register to like make swaps? Because you used to, didn't you? In the Europa League, it used to be you registered the team for the group stage, and then if you got through the group stage to the knockouts, you could make some swaps, swap in and out some players. And if we can do that, we got to, by hook or by crook, get Jed Spencer now. I think you've got to. Pape Matar, brilliant when he came on. Brilliant cameo. Exactly what you wanted from him. He was aggressive. He was fierce. He was fearless. I really love him as a player, man. I know he hasn't been at his very best this season, but who has so far, really? Wonderful young player. Wonderful talent. Good to see him come on. Mikey Moore as well coming on. And you can just tell that kid's going to be a superstar, don't you? Because you can tell he knows. And this is the thing, it's like with Harry Kane, right? He knows he's quality. Kane knew he was quality. Mikey Moore knows he's quality. He just knows, call it arrogance, call it confidence, call it whatever you want to call it. He knows he's quality. Coming away to Old Trafford and just running at him and pinging shots and playing the ball about 17 years old. He doesn't care. Doesn't care. He's hench. He's just good. He's really good. It's really exciting. It's really exciting to see him get more minutes. Here's my hot take for the end of this podcast today. My hot take is I think Mikey Moore will be probably a first team regular by the end of this season. I think I'm going to say that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much enough from today. But I just want to say, just to reiterate everything I was saying at the top, we have won 3-0 away at Old Trafford, right? Whatever that means for us for the rest of the season, whatever that means for the league table, or whatever that means for our momentum, or for the next game, or for whatever, right? All I want to think about right now is this moment and the fact that Tottenham Hotspur have won 3-0 at Old Trafford. And I just want to enjoy that for exactly what it is. And you can call that tin pot and you can say that that's a loser's mentality or whatever. I simply don't care. I follow this game. I follow Tottenham Hotspur. I enjoy football. I do all this because I enjoy it, because it's an escape, isn't it? It's an escape from all the things that bother us day to day. And if you're not going to allow yourself to be happy about winning against one of the giants of world football, the world famous Manchester United at Old Trafford, one of the most successful football teams of all time, whatever state they're in right now, this ain't the sport for you. No, I'm not doing that shit. I don't like doing all that. You're not the type of. You can support the club or the game however you want to, right? I'm just saying, just try and find the joy in these sort of situations, because at the end of the day, you're a Spurs fan. There's no guarantee. You could live, it doesn't matter how old you are now. You could live, I mean, maybe if you're 99, then it does matter. But you could live to be 100 and never see Spurs win the league, because that's the sort of football club we are, right? We might only see us win, for the next 100 years, one more FA Cup. Who knows? You don't know. We might win nothing. Days like today, just enjoy it. Just enjoy it for what it is. Soak it in, get it in your veins, and just bask in it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're on the YouTube stream right now, right, there's a lot of people watching and there aren't that many likes. So drop a few likes on this, please. Subscribe, do the little notify bell thing, and you'll know when stuff's coming on and whatever. As you can tell, I'm a consummate YouTuber. If you're listening to this, please leave a rating. Please leave a review. Please share the podcast far and wide. Share it wherever you share stuff. I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/RTRpod. If you sign up to that, you can get a 7-day trial for free. And then you can listen to some of the content on there. I do like these solo stream of consciousness things. I do one of these pre-game as well now, but that's behind the paywall. I have a Thursday pod with Phil. Every Thursday, we do a bulletin thing going through the week's kind of results. I've got another pod that I do with Jack. I haven't done it for a bit, but I'm going to do one with him soon. Jack Gallagher, non-Spurs fan. I do a pod with him every month where he gives me his non-Spurs fan take on what's happening at Spurs and so on and so forth. It's good. He's a football writer, writes for 90 Min, football journalist. Jack Gallagher, at Calcio Loves Jack, Italian way of spelling football. Look him up on Twitter, top bloke. And I'm going to start doing a new pod soon behind the paywall as well, called The State of Spurs, where I'm just going to talk to random Spurs fans. Just have a chat with them. Why do you support Spurs? Who's your favourite player of all time at Spurs? And then talk about that player a bit and games that annoyed you and all this type of thing. Just conversations about Spurs. So the state of Spurs, I'm going to start doing that soonish when I get a bit of time. But anyway, patreon.com/RTRpods. Come up, free trial, 7-day free trial. Have a listen, see what you think of it. If you don't want to subscribe, then you don't have to. It won't cost you a penny. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Up the Spurs, 3-0 at Old Trafford. We showed them. Let's have it.